The Surgeon General recently called loneliness a public health crisis. Nearly a quarter of American adults say they feel like they have no one, and that number keeps climbing. But here is the strange part. Some people hear that statistic and think, yeah, I did that on purpose. They cleared out their contacts, stopped showing up, and let every group chat go silent. And the weird thing is, they are not miserable. They are calmer than they have been in years. In this video, we are exploring the powerful psychology of people who cut everyone off. Most of them move through these three phases to get here. There was a time when you were the person everyone leaned on, the one who remembered birthdays without Facebook, the friend who drove across town at midnight because someone needed to talk. You absorbed other people's emergencies like they were your own, held space for the same crisis on repeat, offered the same advice, watched it get ignored, and still picked up the next time they called. You did not keep score, but if you had, the numbers would have been embarrassing, and you wore that generosity like proof that you mattered. That is the first phase, the giving. But underneath all of that was something harder to name. You wanted closeness. You also expected it to hurt. Both running at the same time, like two songs playing over each other. That is what happens when love and letdown always showed up together. After a while, your brain stopped telling them apart. Psychologists call it a push-pull way of connecting. Part of you reached for people. Part of you flinched the moment they reached back. In everyday life, it looks like this. You overgive, then go cold. You crave connection, then feel suffocated when it actually arrives. And for most people, that pattern did not start in a friendship or a relationship. It started much earlier. Maybe the person who was supposed to be the safest was also the most unpredictable, warm 1 hour, withdrawn the next. You learned that being loved did not mean being stable. It meant paying attention, tracking tone of voice, body language, the sound of a door closing, all before you were old enough to have words for any of it. That is where the wiring got set. Your brain learned that closeness required monitoring, that affection was real, but it could change without warning. So you became the kid who adjusted before anyone asked you to, who made yourself easy to be around, because easy meant safe, and you carried that into every relationship after, so you kept showing up, doing everything for everyone, trying to earn safety by being indispensable. You could read a room in 30 seconds, spot the signs someone might disappoint you before they did. Always one step ahead. It was vigilance that never clocked out. You were like a motion sensor light, always on the moment someone moved. And for a long time, you did not know you could turn off. And the thing is, you were almost never wrong. You noticed the friend who had time for everyone else's crisis but went silent during yours. The person who kept you close when they needed something but could not remember what you were going through last week. The family member who showed warmth in public but turned cold the second the audience left. The relationship where you were always the one initiating, always the one adjusting, always the one making it work. And when you finally stopped, the whole thing just collapsed. It was only standing because you were holding it up. Most people need to see a pattern 4 or 5 times before they believe it. You saw it after the first time. You just spent the next 3 hoping you were wrong. Then something shifted. That is the second phase. For some people, it was a specific moment, a betrayal, someone who finally proved what you had suspected for years. For others, it was slower. A season where you realized you were doing all the maintenance on every relationship you had, and nobody seemed to notice when you stopped. Something inside you changed, and the quiet that followed did not feel empty. It felt like setting something heavy down. There is brain science behind why that shift feels so calm. When you walk away from people who hurt you, your brain eventually stops pulling you back toward them. A 2023 study found that your nervous system literally files those people under case closed and stops forwarding the mail. That is why you can watch a sad movie and cry but feel almost nothing when someone from your old life texts. The distance is not indifference. Your brain built it. And once the pulling stops, something new shows up. It looks like confidence. Not the loud kind, more like a steady quiet where you finally trust your own judgment. That is the third phase. The quiet. You stopped answering texts for days. No guilt, no pull, just stillness. And at some point, you stopped noticing you were doing it. What your brain built was a very efficient filter. Your standards feel obvious to you, impossible to explain to anyone else. You no longer have tolerance for anything that feels one-sided. And yeah, there are studies that link isolation to health problems. You have probably seen the headlines. But those studies are not about you. They are about people who are alone and suffering. You are not suffering. You just stopped pretending that draining relationships were better than none at all. Being surrounded by the wrong people carries its own cost. Your body knows the difference between lonely and at peace. And right now, your body is not complaining. And if you are watching this wondering whether something in you is broken, here is what I want you to sit with. You are not the villain in someone else's story about why people leave. You are someone who figured out, probably too young, that not every person who says they care will act like it. And instead of becoming bitter about that, you chose to build something quieter, something that actually holds weight. That might be one of the most honest things a person can do. Not everyone will understand it. The people who have never had to protect their peace will call it cold. The people who have will recognize it immediately. You did not lose people. You stopped carrying the ones who were never holding you back. And the life you built in that silence is not empty. It is the first thing that has been entirely yours. Tell me in the comments that describes how your quiet feels now. And if this hits something real, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this.